Oscar Hernandez vanished on a quiet Friday evening. The 13-year-old boy left home with a soccer ball in his backpack and a soft smile on his face. He told his family he'd be back the next morning, after helping his coach make jerseys for their team. No one thought twice. It was Coach Mario, the man who always smiled, who gave rides to practice, who laughed with parents after games. The one Oscar's mother once called Uncle Mario. But Oscar never came back. It was only beginning. Oscar loved soccer, not in the casual way most kids did, not just kicking a ball after school or trading jerseys with friends. For Oscar, the field was freedom. He was quiet at home, polite in class, but give him a ball and he lit up. He became someone else. Fearless, quick, always smiling. That was how he met Coach Mario. It started at Whitsett Park in North Hollywood, a dusty little field where local kids met after school. Mario Garcia-Aquino wasn't like the other volunteers. He stood out. He knew drills. He brought cones, water, clean jerseys. He gave everyone nicknames and handed out candy after practice. The kids loved him. The parents, they were relieved. Here was a man willing to help, willing to teach their sons discipline and pride, a role model, a father figure even. He started taking the boys on day trips, offered to make custom jerseys for the team. Sometimes he'd text the parents directly, "Don't worry, I've got them," or "I'll drive Oscar home after." Oscar's family didn't think twice when he said he was heading to Lancaster to help Coach Mario with jersey printing. He's done it before, his sister Alejandra told herself. He always comes back. That night, Oscar's phone rang, but it wasn't Oscar who picked up. It was Mario, and what he said in a calm, almost rehearsed tone made the hairs on Alejandra's neck stand up. He can't talk. His hands are full of paint. Something was off. But how could they know? How could anyone imagine what was coming? The next morning, Mario said he'd dropped Oscar off near the park. A message came from Oscar's phone saying he didn't want to be picked up, but his friends never saw him. Saturday morning came, the kind of morning that should have been ordinary, the hum of weekend quiet, but Oscar wasn't home. Alejandra paced the kitchen, checking her phone again. No calls, no new texts. She called Mario. He answered, cheerful, unfazed. "I dropped him off yesterday," he said, "at the park." He said he didn't want to go home yet. Something twisted in her stomach. That wasn't like him. She texted Oscar. A reply came minutes later. "I'm going to a party," but it felt wrong. It didn't sound like him. They called his friends. None of them had seen him. None of them knew about any party. By evening, panic had bloomed into something darker. His phone stopped ringing. His location? Office. The streets of North Hollywood became a maze. Alejandra and her brothers driving around in circles, checking benches, alleyways, street corners. By Sunday morning, the dread was unbearable. The family called the police. But even then, it didn't feel real. He had to be somewhere. Maybe mad, maybe hiding out. And then, LAPD's elite robbery homicide division got involved. That's when it became real. That's when the story began to shift. From a missing persons case to something no family ever wants to imagine. Detectives combed through phone records, retraced steps. They brought in dogs, searched woodland edges, near the beach, near McGrath. Until 5 days later, Oscar's body was found just beyond the curve of North Harbor Boulevard, under wind-worn trees, near the crashing waves of the Pacific. His sneakers were still on, his sweatshirt rumpled, but there were no signs of a struggle. It was as if he trusted the person who brought him there. His phone was missing, but his sister remembered. Coach Mario had answered a call from Oscar's number, claiming the boy's hands were full of paint. That detail unraveled everything. Detectives searched Mario's car. Hidden beneath soccer flyers, they found a pink spiral notebook, childlike, until they opened it. Inside, frantic handwriting, a confession claiming Oscar had been hired to kill someone. The names didn't make sense. The words weren't his. Experts confirmed it. The note was written under duress. And Mario Garcia-Aquino, once seen as a beloved coach, became the prime suspect. Then came the file from 2024, another teen, another overnight stay, another story of fear and silence. And slowly, Mario's mask began to crack. This one, from 2022. Different child, different neighborhood, same pattern. In both cases, Mario had wormed his way in, through soccer, through trust. He'd made himself essential, then crossed lines the victims didn't know how to name until it was too late. At the time, the cases had been buried under legal delays, insufficient evidence, reluctant families. But now, with Oscar's death, the puzzle pieces locked into place. Detectives reviewed Mario's background again, his travel records, his text history, and what they found horrified them. He had patterns, he had access, and he had victims who never came forward because they didn't think anyone would believe them. Because he was the coach, because he smiled, because he bought them snacks after practice and told their parents they were like family. But now, no one could pretend anymore. What happened to Oscar wasn't random. It was part of something much bigger, something Mario had been hiding in plain sight for years, and if police hadn't looked deeper, he might have done it again. The press conference came quickly. Cameras, flashbulbs, a podium surrounded by Oscar's family, silent, hollow-eyed, and behind them, a wall of faces, law enforcement officers, investigators, child protection workers, and the words that followed would stun the entire state. We are charging Mario Edgardo Garcia-Aquino with the murder of Oscar Omar Hernandez, with special circumstances of child abuse and lewd conduct. We believe he used his position to manipulate and harm those he was trusted to protect. We are asking other victims to come forward. And for the first time, the man everyone thought they knew, the coach, the friend, the mentor, was finally being called what he truly was, a predator. Before Oscar, there were others. In 2024, a family in Palmdale filed a report. Their 16-year-old son said Coach Mario assaulted him during a sleepover. A year earlier, another case surfaced in Silmar. Same coach, same quiet fear, but no one listened. Mario Garcia-Aquino wasn't just a soccer coach. He was a predator hiding behind uniforms and after-school programs. He earned trust, then broke it. When police reopened the files after Oscar's death, the patterns became impossible to ignore. This wasn't his first time, and if they hadn't stopped him, it wouldn't have been his last. On the same day, Oscar's body was found in a quiet patch of woods near McGrath State Beach. Police placed Mario Garcia-Aquino in handcuffs. At first, the arrest wasn't for Oscar's murder. It was for a separate case, an assault on a 16-year-old boy that had taken place back in early 2024. But that charge cracked the door open, and what lay behind it was something far darker. As detectives began to re-examine Garcia-Aquino's past, the pieces started to fall into place. The timelines aligned, the stories matched, and soon, the image of a beloved soccer coach, the one who made jerseys and gave rides home, began to unravel completely. This wasn't just a case of a boy who went missing. It was a calculated act, a betrayal cloaked in trust, a predator hiding in plain sight. Garcia-Aquino was officially charged with Oscar's murder, with special circumstances related to lewd acts against a minor, a detail that turned the entire case from tragic to sickening. If convicted, he faces life in prison, no parole, no second chance, because some acts are beyond forgiveness. Even after the arrest, the case felt incomplete. Detectives had their suspect, the charges were filed, the community was shaken, but something still wasn't right. Oscar's death, as horrific as it was, didn't feel isolated. The patterns in Garcia-Aquino's past, the prior allegations, the other boys, the late-night visits masked as training sessions, pointed to something much wider, much worse. Authorities held a press conference. The sheriff stepped up to the mic, his voice firm but urgent. If you or someone you know has had any inappropriate contact with this man, come forward. Whether you're documented or not, your voice matters. We're here to protect, not punish. And then, something unexpected. Alejandra, Oscar's older sister, approached detectives with a memory that had haunted her for days. She remembered calling Oscar's phone on the night he vanished. It didn't go to voicemail. Someone picked up, just for a second. In the background, she heard a voice. Calm, deep, familiar. It wasn't Oscar, it was Garcia-Aquino. He told her Oscar's hands were full, painting jerseys. But Alejandra now realized something chilling. Her brother may have already been gone, and his killer was still answering his phone, pretending everything was fine. As the family searched in panic, he kept Oscar's phone with him during those long, desperate days, as if he wanted to control not just the boy's fate, but his story. Now, that story is unraveling, and Oscar might not be the only one who never made it home.